Hi, this is Bill with Freedom Boat Club. Today we're here to talk about anchoring on Lake Travis. So the first thing that you're going to do when you're anchoring is going to find a spot that you can actually be at that's safe. You're not going to be able to anchor really anywhere that's beyond maybe 30 feet. So you're going to use the boat, use the depth finder that's on the dash, drive around until you find a spot that's anywhere between 15 to 30 feet. Once you do, then you're going to look around at your surroundings, and so you're going to look at the wind, which is usually the current on Lake Travis. So you're going to look at where you're going to end up. So you're going to gauge how much rope you use based on the depth. So the actual depth on it in an ocean environment is actually, the ratio is 7-to-1, which means that for every foot of water, you want 7 feet of rope. Here on Lake Travis, you can probably get away with about 5-to-1, but the more rope you use, the more secure your anchor is. So here we have a normal anchor. So you can see it's fairly large, and it has a chain on it. So the chain is actually fairly important to the anchoring process. So you can imagine what you want is the anchor to lay flat like this with the chain all the way extended and the rope pushing out at a horizontal line. If you don't use enough rope, what happens is the anchor is going to hang like this. And so the chances of it catching on anything go way down. So when you find your spot in the cove and wherever you want to be anchoring, and it's shallow enough for you to anchor, what you're going to do is look, decide this is where I want the anchor to be. This is where I'm going to be after I add 100 feet to the rope. My boat should approximately end up over here. Is there another boat there? Is that okay? Is where you're going to settle a safe spot. Sometimes if the wind is pointed the wrong direction, for example, you flip it around and look at the cove over there. If I was to anchor here and the wind was blowing that direction, then once I caught the anchor and drifted back, then my boat would be up against the rocks, which could cause prop damage. So what you're going to do is grab the anchor, you're going to find your spot, you're going to drive the boat directly over the spot that you want to anchor, and then you're going to secure the anchor. But before you do that, you're going to guesstimate the amount of depth. So you say, this is about 5 feet. And you can, depending on your size, you can say 4, 3, or 5. 10, 15, 20. And you're going to figure out how much rope it is that you need for the depth that you're anchoring at. Then you're going to go to the edge of the boat, and you're going to secure the rope before throwing it into one of the cleats. You're going to drop the anchor directly over where you want it to be. Then you're going to return to the driver's seat if you don't have a partner that's helping you. You're going to put the boat in one click, which means just back far enough for it to start moving the direction that you want. And you're going to slowly help guide the boat back to approximately where you think it's going to start. So once you anchor, what you'll see is the rope will get taut. Okay? So you'll see the rope start to get taut, and usually the best indicator of this is that the boat will actually start to pendulum back and forth. So you'll see it, and then the boat will actually go back and forth, which is usually a good indicator that your boat is actually anchored. So once you're there, you're fine, and hopefully you're anchored. This lake can be difficult actually when you're anchoring, so sometimes you're not going to get it on the first try. Once you're actually hopefully anchored, you're going to, everybody can jump in, but the driver needs to pick a point on the horizon that's static. So for example, that tree looks like it's down right there, or the bush, a rock, whatever it is. And I'm going to watch that point. And I'm going to watch it for about 2 to 3 minutes. And the boat should pendulum back and forth, but at no point should you move off of that line. If you do, it means that you're not actually anchored and that you need to retry again. Keep in mind that once you are anchored on this lake, the wind changes, boats go by, things can happen that can cause the anchor to actually fall out. So you're going to have to keep an eye on your boat actually, even when you are anchored. So that's basically anchoring in a nutshell. The other common problem with this lake is that sometimes it can be difficult to get the anchor up when you're done. So at the end of the day, what you're going to do is you're going to have the anchor in the lake. I'm going to drop it in for example purposes. So the anchor's in. You're going to come over. One person is going to take a nice athletic stance. The pontoon's obviously a lot easier, but on the other boats, on the bow riders, just make sure that you're comfortable, you're not going to fall over. So one person is then going to start pulling the anchor up while the driver slowly moves the boat forward, so they're not having to pull the boat and the anchor. as you're coming up, a couple of things can happen. So it could, as this one's going to do, you see the chain coming out. This is where you start watching, okay? So once the chain is starting to come, what you want to do is pull the anchor away from the boat so it doesn't cause any damage. You're going to slowly bring it up, keeping it away from the boat. And then you're going to, this one hasn't been in the water, down in the dirt, but a lot of times these come up incredibly muddy. In order for you to shake the mud off, all you have to do is dip it a few times, okay? So in a perfect world, you're done, the anchor's up, and you put it away. Unfortunately on Travis, things happen, anchors get caught. So what do you do if your anchor is caught? You're going to take all of the slack out of the rope. So you're going to pull it up and you're going to realize the anchor is just not going to come up. You're going to re-secure this anchor line to a cleat so that you're directly underneath the boat. So you were sitting like this, you drove up, you pulled all the slack out, and now you're directly over the boat. And then you're going to take the boat and you're going to pivot it 180 degrees the other direction so that you're basically facing the opposite direction that you were when you were actually anchored. And then you're going to gently guide the boat back. This, what we'll do, you were anchored like this and you were caught. You come over, it's caught, it won't come up, okay? Your boat is sitting here. So now you've re-secured it, you've turned the boat around, and instead of pulling like this, you're pulling like this. And normally it'll twist out of whatever it is that you're anchored on, and then your day will go on. Sometimes it might take 2 or 3 twists in order to anchor. You do need to make sure that you don't try to overpower it. We have a rope, a big engine, and an anchor. If the anchor is caught on something and it's a rock or a tree and something that's just not going to come out, if you power the boat too much, something's going to give, and that's usually going to be the rope, which means that it's going to break. You're going to shoot back, and you can actually cause injury to some of the passengers or yourself as the boat propels back after the snap. So that's basically how you're going to get it out. If for some reason the anchor doesn't come out and you do have to cut it, then it's obviously a charge to the club. You're buying an anchor. It's usually approximately $85. But if you do the technique that I showed you, 95% of the time, you're going to be able to twist your way out of whatever it is that you're anchored on and return home safely. All right, thanks.